All right, so moving on to the final segment. We're going to pivot here to the world of boxing. And in this segment, I'll be sharing my fight prediction for this weekend's fight taking place in the sport of boxing between Jaron Ennis and Eimantas Stanionis. So this is going to be a highly anticipated welterweight fight. A title unification will be happening at the welterweight division, with Jaron Ennis defending his IBF title against Eimantas Stanionis defending his WBA title. And there also will be a third title on the line, that being the coveted Ring Magazine title as well. So 3 titles will be up for grabs this weekend in the sport of boxing. So these are my following storylines heading into the highly anticipated welterweight title unification fight. Starting off with who will be the new king of this welterweight division. Now, this is a prestigious welterweight division in the sport of boxing. But we're in a new dawn, a new era of the welterweight division where we don't know who is the best at this welterweight division truly just yet. I believe this fight between Jaron Ennis and Eimantas Stanionis will solidify who is the best at this welterweight division right now. Because, in my opinion, the welterweight division is truly wide open. And the titles are all scattered all over. You have Jaron Ennis, who's the IBF champion, Eimantas Stanionis, the WBA champion, Mario Barrios, the WBC champion, and Brian Norman Jr., the WBO champion. So all the titles are all scattered. And if we're being completely honest, all these titles were awarded to the fighters after Terrence Crawford became an undisputed champion in the summer 2023 once he dismantled and dominated Earl Spence to become the undisputed champion. Once Terrence Crawford moved up to the super welterweight division, 154, he vacated all the titles. So everybody that was a interim champion was elevated to become a world champion. So that's why we truly don't know who is the best at this welterweight division. But in terms of who the best is, with this Ring Magazine title being on the line as well, I think we're going to see who is the true king of this welterweight division, because the Ring Magazine is only awarded to who is the best fighter at that current division. And we've seen some honorary fighters, legends, and Hall of Famers hold that Ring Magazine title at this welterweight division. I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford, Sugar Ray Robinson. The list goes on and on of tremendous fighters that have held this Ring Magazine title at this welterweight division. This weekend, Jaron Ennis or Eimantas Stanionis will have the chance to call themselves the true king of this welterweight division, walking out with 3 titles and the coveted Ring Magazine title. So another storyline is, will Jaron Ennis be comfortable come fight night? And what I mean by this is, if you guys watch Jaron Ennis is one hell of a fighter. I think he has the potential to be a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. But in his last few fights, I have noticed that he's been a little weight drained. And when you're weight drained in a certain division, that is not good for you at all. Now, I will say to Jaron Ennis' defense, if you guys know what the IBF title, there's some rules that come to that title. Now, it's a prestigious title, don't get me wrong, but that's the only world title in boxing where you can only rehydrate up to 10 pounds come fight night. Which that means Jaron Ennis already has to cut to be 147. He can only hydrate to be 157 once he gets in that boxing ring come fight night. Which is very important for fighters that already are huge outside of the ring and don't weigh that same weight outside of fight camps or preparing for fights. So that is a reason why I think Jaron Ennis has looked weight drained. Also, I feel like he has overtrained in camps as well in the previous few fights. I would even say that I thought Jaron Ennis was going to move up to 154 after his previous title defense. And he said it in the interview in the ring that he was moving up to 154. And I thought he was going to fight Virgil Ortiz Jr. on that loaded Arthur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol fight card that we saw in February. But that didn't happen. Jaron Ennis stayed put at 147. So I'm going to see if he's comfortable. Plus, with this being a title unification fight with the WBA title being involved, there is no rehydration clause that you can only rehydrate to 10 pounds. So I'm going to see if Jaron Ennis feels comfortable at this weight come fight night. And if he's comfortable at this weight and he's victorious, he could possibly continue to unify these titles and possibly become an undisputed champion at welterweight. So, and last but not least, is Eimantas Stanionis ready for this fight? He is a talented fighter, don't get me wrong. However, he has been in and out of the boxing ring due to inactivity, due to the fact that he was promised a big-time fight against Virgil Ortiz Jr. at 147. That fight was actually supposed to take place on 3 different occasions, and unfortunately it didn't happen because Virgil Ortiz had to pull out each time due to medical reasons, and unfortunately never got to make the weight at 147. That's the reason why Virgil Ortiz is at 154 today. So Eimantas Stanionis has never got the big time fight, never felt this type of atmosphere before. We're going to see if he's ready for this big time fight and what could be one of the most important fights of his boxing career, this being a title unification fight. But enough of the yapping, enough of the storylines. Let's get to the tail of the tape here. Starting off with Eimantas Stanionis. Eimantas Stanionis, he's 15-0, 9 victories coming away of knockout. Currently the reigning defending WBA champion. Stands at 5'8" with a reach of 68 inches. Then I'm looking at Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is 33-0, 29 victories coming away of knockout. Currently the reigning defending IBF champion. Stands at 5'10" with a reach of 74 inches. So the height and the reach advantage goes in favor of Jaron Ennis. We'll see if he uses that to his advantage once these two respective welterweights meet each other Saturday in the boxing ring. So, game plans heading into this fight. If these fighters want to walk out the new unified champion at the welterweight division, starting off with Eimantas Stanionis. Now, I think he's going to have to fight on the inside. Now, if you guys have followed or have watched Eimantas Stanionis in the past, what he likes to do with his opponents is fight in the inside. And Jaron Ennis is a fighter that likes to fight in the inside. But if this fight goes in the pocket, I think Eimantas Stanionis has a good chance of throwing Jaron Ennis off his game plan, frustrating him at times to make mistakes. And if he can make Jaron Ennis respect his power and establish a tempo of the fight, that could go a long way for Eimantas Stanionis, how he wants to control the pace of the fight throughout the duration of the fight. Plus, Jaron Ennis likes to also fight in the pocket and exchange with fighters because he doesn't respect their power. But if Eimantas Stanionis can make Jaron Ennis respect his power very early on, that could be an advantage for him as the fight goes on. Now next, I think Eimantas Stanionis is going to have to land punches and furies. And what I mean by that is, Eimantas Stanionis is already a good fighter. He has a good arsenal, a good toolbox of landing combinations. He's a great fighter when he lets his hands fly and lands punches and furies. But if he uses his right hand, lands 1-2 combinations, and goes down to the body, that could really slow down Jaron Ennis and make Jaron Ennis possibly box off his back foot. And we know that Jaron Ennis likes to fight coming forward and be the aggressor, be the intimidator in boxing fights. But if Eimantas Stanionis can do that, he has a good chance of winning this fight. And last but not least, he's got to take his time. If you don't take your time, if you're being too impatient, and you're looking for the big blow, the big punch to land, and exchanges every single time, you're not going to be victorious in this fight. He's got to stay calm, cool, collected, take his time. And if he gets too carried away, that's going to open the door for him making mistakes, which Jaron Ennis will capitalize on. So he's got to stay patient, not get caught in traps, fight his fight for the duration of the fight, and he possibly could walk out with the unified titles. But that's the game plan I have for Eimantas Stanionis. Now, starting off with Jaron Ennis. I think Jaron Ennis has got to win the counter-punching battle. I believe he's faster, he's stronger than Eimantas Stanionis. He has the better boxing skills and boxing abilities. And I think he could also land a knockdown if Eimantas Stanionis is not careful with the way how Jaron Ennis is dangerous as a counter-puncher and lets the hands fly, controls the pace of the fight, lands the powerful punches to make his opponents respect his power, feel intimidated. And I think winning the counter-punching battle could possibly help Jaron Ennis win this fight. Now, next, he has to stay patient in exchanges. Now, Jaron Ennis has to be patient. I know he likes to wow the crowd. I know he likes to entertain the crowd, getting knockouts. But you have to stay patient because Eimantas Stanionis is a powerful puncher, and he's coming to fight to win this fight. He's not coming to lay down. He's not coming for a paycheck. He wants the same thing that you want, being a unified champion at the welterweight division. So I think Jaron Ennis, if he can stay patient, wait until that uppercut, the timing is right to land that uppercut in the pocket, and the fight, it will be exchanged a lot in the pocket. Both fighters like to fight in the pocket, fighting the inside. If Eimantas Stanionis has his head ducked down too long, you come in with a ferocious uppercut and follow that up with a right hand. Oh my gosh, that could be lights out for Eimantas Stanionis if he lands it the right way. But last but not least, I think Jaron Ennis also has to be alert defensively. Now, what I've seen Jaron Ennis do, I just talked about how he likes to pander the crowd, be a knockout artist, entertain fans, gain more buzz, and get more attention in the boxing ring. But you got to be alert defensively. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to use a fighter like Gervonta Davis, for example. A powerful puncher, but also gets clipped a lot in boxing fights. He likes to take punishment in order to dish out punishment. Jaron Ennis cannot do that for this fight. He's a fighter that likes to take punishment in order to dish out punishment. But he cannot do that against Eimantas Stanionis, who is a powerful puncher in his own right. And with the right shot, can knock your lights out, and that's all she wrote. So he cannot get too carried away. I've seen him get too carried away defensively, be a little careless, a little sloppy on the defensive side at times. And I think that's what he's lacking. I think he has all the skills, but he has to be a great defensive. You don't have to be a great defense fighter, but a good defense fighter and be alert defensively, because down the road or in this particular fight that could catch up to you, if you're not alert defensively, you're just willing to just sit there and get hit. That's not going to win you this fight. So with all those game plans going on, with that being said, I'm going to go with Jaron Boots Ennis to defeat Eimantas Stanionis by decision to become the new unified champion at the welterweight division. He's going to retain the IBF title, but he's also going to win the WBA title and the Ring Magazine title. And we all know the Ring Magazine title is awarded to the best fighter at the welterweight division. And we see some all-time greats hold that title at this welterweight division like Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford, Sugar Ray Robinson. So it's very important for Jaron Ennis to win this fight and solidify himself as the king of the welterweight division. But I think this is going to be a fun, action-packed fight. If you like 50-50 fights, if you like fights being exchanged in the pocket, both fighters like the fight coming forward, this could be your fight to watch Saturday night. And they're both fighters, Jaron Ennis and Eimantas Stanionis, are powerful punchers. But I just believe that Jaron Ennis is going to be too powerful, too fast, too strong for Eimantas Stanionis throughout the fight. I think Jaron Ennis is going to win the battle in the inside, in the pocket. With that uppercut, if Eimantas Stanionis has his head ducked down too long, Jaron Ennis can come with the uppercut, the overhand right, and land the 1-2 combinations. Jaron Ennis also has a pretty good jab as well. I think that stiff jab can keep Eimantas Stanionis off him if at times Jaron Ennis is boxing off the back foot, trying to get comfortable again, get his footing right. And I think also Jaron Ennis having the advantage in the footwork, of having better footwork than Eimantas Stanionis, moving around in the boxing ring very well in lateral different movements. It's going to be very pivotal for him to win the fight. I can see Jaron Ennis landing a knockdown, but I cannot see him landing a knockout victory. So give me Jaron Ennis to become the new unified champion at the welterweight division. That is my Jaron Ennis versus Eimantas Stanionis fight prediction. And that is all the time I have for you guys this week. Today, not this week, today. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.